Alright, new week, new me. Let's just jump right into the first day of development. Well, that's enough for today. I'm not kidding, my lazy ass really did that. Here you can watch me waste time trying to learn the terrain object in Unity, before giving up and realizing I don't really need it that much. Here I am forgetting everything I have learned in Unity, thousands of hours into oblivion. Maybe I was drunk or something. There I am wasting precious time to write dumbass on the texture of the character, because it's a really important part of the game. This is me doing gearboxing, and since I am an anarchist and a non-conformist, I did my gearboxing with colors. When I write code that I already wrote before, I open my previous project to look at it so that I don't waste my time and energy on things I already did. But this is a really good way to learn nothing, repeat the same mistakes, and make your games look identical. That's why I force myself to try to improve my code every time. Why don't I use a new input system that is better and that could let me implement controller support really easily? Because shut the No, seriously, since we have a time constraint for this project and I want to focus on the other side of the game, I write the fastest and most efficient code that I can. So in this case, I am more used to the old input system. If I have time at the end, I want to switch a new one. Some will argue that it's really dumb to switch at the end instead of writing it now, but I will argue back to let me live with my bad choice. For the character controller, I wrote a simple script for FPS-like movement. I'm using the character controller for simplicity, but I will try to change it so it's physics-based in the future, so that the player can interact with small objects by ramming to them, something like in Amnesia. The character controller component Unity is really trash and problematic. It will do the job for now, but I want to switch it. For the code to interact with all the objects to complete the quest, I look at my old code for a previous game I made. This was awful. I had to restrain myself from going to sleep with a fish. Let me explain why. I have a script that measures the distance between the player and an object. It's attached to the player. Then this distance is stored in a public static float. Now for every object I wanted an interaction with, I had to write the entire logic for interaction. So render text when it's close enough, stop rendering text when it's far away, what to do when I have an interaction, everything. Honestly, it's horrible. And sadly, this came from our YouTube tutorials, so beware of some of the things you learn on YouTube. Sometimes it works, but it's shitty code. Also, if I write shitty code, I give you permission to destroy me in the comments. My goal is always to get better. I have no ego for these kinds of things. Now I have a question for you. What do we do when we have code that repeats itself? We'll get rid of it, of course. We are going to use inheritance. Let me show you how it works really fast. We have a class called interactable. In this class, we will write all the code that is generic and can be applied to every object that use interaction. So when to make the text appear, when to make it disappear, when you left click, something happens, things like that. Then when we create a new script for an object, we make it a child of the class interaction. That means it will inherit all the things from the interaction class, and now we can just change things that are unique to this object. Nothing is more satisfying than reading your old code and seeing how much you improve. Not even heroin, trust me. Okay, too much nerding around. Let's get back to tomfoolery. I made the quest system and the book. When the quests are complete, they are crossed. The cures are a mix of real historical one used and some dumb things that escape my tortured brain. For some reason, when you start the game, the character looks at the ground. I did not have time to look further into it. It's a problem for future me. Fuck that guy. For the artistic direction, I want to do low poly because since it's simple, I'll be able to produce more assets and faster. This is what the characters will look like, maybe with even less detail. This is some of the color palette that I found interesting, and the house will look something like this. Next week, I'm going to get destroyed. I will learn Blender and all the side effects of abusing caffeine and cocaine. This will be the week that determines if I overshoot the scope of the project or not. Subscribe if you want to see if I fail miserably or if I succeed. In either case, I will try to make it entertaining. See you next week.